USS Enterprise, AKA the Big E, a fighting city of steel. She is the most revered, decorated ship of World War II. On this 360-degree battlefield, where threats loom, on the seas, in the skies, and in the ocean depths, the Enterprise's enemies could be anywhere and everywhere. Now, follow this sea-bound band of brothers through 4 years of hell. From Pearl Harbor to the doorstep of Japan.
You know, you did this to us, watch this. Here we come now.
There's nowhere to run when the war is all around you. Battle 360, USS Enterprise, call to duty. This series is brought to you with limited commercials by the men and women of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. The Central Pacific, February 1st, 1942. Aircraft carrier USS Enterprise, with 2,800 men aboard, steams through hostile waters near the Marshall Islands. War on the high seas has been raging for almost 2 months. Tensions on board run high. 1:40 p.m., 2 miles off the carrier's starboard bow. 5 twin-engine Japanese bombers break out of the clouds and swoop toward Enterprise in a low glide. They're Mitsubishi G4Ms, Allied codename Betty. Enterprise's anti-aircraft guns greet the invaders with a cloud of lead. But even with the carrier guns banging away, the Japanese Bettys are still determined to deliver their 132-pound high explosives onto Enterprise's deck. Just one hit could put this floating airfield out of commission. The Japanese planes open their bomb bay doors and let the ordnance fly. All the bombs miss. But one is close enough to rock the Enterprise. Shrapnel rains down on the carrier's deck, mortally wounding one of her men. With their bomb bays empty, the enemy planes bug out, except the one in the rear. Although American gunfire has left her critically wounded, the last bomber does a 180-degree left turn and buzzes back toward the carrier.
He knew he lost, and he was going down, so he's going to take some of us with him.
Enterprise Captain George Murray orders instant evasive action. Full right rudder. As the ship attempts to swing to the right, out from under the bomber, the enemy plane dips down to just a couple hundred feet above the water.
All of our guns that could were firing at it, but it was coming on and kept coming and coming.
Aviation machinist mate Bruno Peter Guido sees the impending disaster and scrambles into action.
This sailor actually ran across the flight deck, jumped into a parked airplane, got on one of the machine guns from the plane.
And he took the guns up like this and he started shooting at them like this.
With the ship moving sideways, at the last moment, a suicidal enemy bomber charts a flight plan for maximum destruction. He banks sharply to the right on a collision course with the Enterprise. As the bomber crosses over the deck, its right wing shears off the tail section of Guido's plane. But the intrepid machinist's mate is unhurt and still firing as the enemy plane skids off the carrier deck.
And the gunner took the plane around, shot him in the other time so it hit the ocean.
clear to his shipmates that Guido's heroics have saved the day. His quick action spared the carrier a devastating blow. The commanding officer of the aircraft carrier group, Rear Admiral William F. Halsey, has watched the extraordinary shootout from the Enterprise bridge.
10 minutes after that was over, Halsey called down and said, "Who was that guy in the rear seat of that airplane fired at the attacking plane?" And he said, "Send him up to the bridge." From Guido's description, he stood at attention, saluted. The Admiral says, "What is your name?" And he said, "Bruno Guido." "What rate are you, Bruno?" "Aviation machinist mate 3rd class." He said, "Bruno, you are now aviation machinist mate 1st class."
For Enterprise's sailors, it's just another day on the job. One of many close calls they, and the most revered aircraft carrier in history, will face over the coming 4 years.
You know, these guys on the Enterprise had a 360-degree view of the entire war. You've got a surface threat. You've got an air threat. You've got subsurface threat. So it's all around you, above and below you was their battle space.
A ship earns 1 battle star for every major battle she fights. By the end of the war in the Pacific, the Big E will earn 20 of them. 3 more than any other ship, and 7 more than any other carrier. And the nickname? Lucky E.
A lot of the people called the Enterprise the Lucky E, but I don't think she was so lucky as she was good.
The story of the Enterprise began 6 years earlier. Launched in 1936, USS Enterprise, alphanumeric designation CV-6, is a new breed of aircraft carrier. Yorktown class, the supercarrier of its era. It's a sleek-hulled, medium-weight vessel, 108 feet wide, with a flight deck running across almost the full 809 feet of her length. Her deck is Washington State timber. Her hull, Pennsylvania steel. Displacing 25,000 tons when fully loaded, the Enterprise has a range of 12,000 miles, with a top speed of 32.5 knots. She's armed with 24 50 caliber machine guns, 4 quad 1.1-inch cannons, and 8 5-inch guns that can take out air or surface targets from a maximum distance of 18,200 yards. The Big E weighs more than 16,000 tons less than the older carriers in the fleet, but can carry the same number of warplanes into battle. She's more fuel efficient, more agile, more deadly.
The Enterprise had a spirit about it, indomitability. No other ship was going to compare with it.
The Enterprise can